Okay, now let's see how do we factor by grouping. Example A, we have 3x cubed plus 3x squared plus 2x plus 2. If we look at all four terms, let's see if we have a GCF. There's no number other than 1 that can divide evenly into each of these terms. So we say we do not have a GCF. Well, in this case, what do? What's our approach? Well, notice because we have four terms, what we're going to do is we're going to split this problem in half. Only looking at the first two terms, do you see something in common? Well, look at the numbers. I have a 3 and a 3. Well, that's in common. And look at the variables. I have an x cubed and an x squared. What's the most they both have in common? That would be an x squared. So it turns out I have a GCF only in the first two terms of 3x squared. Now if I were to factor out 3x squared or divide both of these terms by 3x squared, let's see what we're left with. Well, 3 divided by 3 is 1. X cubed divided by x squared leaves you with x. Now, 3 divided by 3 leaves you with plus 1, and x squared divided by x squared reduces to 1 also. Okay, so there's nothing else we can do to the first two terms. Now, let's look at the last two terms. Notice we have a 2x and a 2. It appears they both have a 2 in common. Now, is that a positive 2 or a negative 2? Well, both signs are positive, so we're going to put a plus in front of that to indicate it will remain a positive 2. And just like before, we're going to factor out or divide both of these terms by 2. Well, 2 divided by 2 leaves me with 1. And x doesn't divide with anything, so we still have an x there. Last, we have 2 divided by 2, and that reduces to 1. Now looking at this, let's see, do we notice anything that's in common? Is anything repeating out of our two terms? Now keep in mind, this is two terms. We have term 1, and we have term 2. And if you notice, we do have a common factor. The item that's being repeated in both of these terms is x plus 1. Well, since that's a common factor, I can factor out x plus 1 out of this problem. So if this is x plus 1 and this is x plus 1, and I factor or undistribute it out, what does that leave me with? Well, it leaves me with 3x squared plus 2. And that would be your factored answer. Let's look at another one. (2x cubed minus 8x squared minus 9x plus 36). Okay, we have four terms. Is there any common factors that it would divide into these four terms? And the answer is no. There appears to not to be a GCF other than 1. So the good news is, since we have four terms, we're going to do factor by grouping, which means we can evenly split it in the middle. Looking only at the first two terms, we have 2x cubed minus 8x squared. Well, look at the coefficients, 2 and 8. What number can evenly divide into 2 and into 8? And you're probably thinking 2. Now look at the variables. We have x to the third, which means x times x times x. And we have x squared, which is x times x. What's the most they both have? and that would be x times x, or x squared. So we're going to factor or undistribute both of these terms by 2x squared. 2 divided by 2 is 1. X cubed divided by x squared leaves you with 1x. Negative 8 divided by 2 is a negative 4. And x squared divided by x squared, well, those reduce, so there's no more variables. Now looking at our last two terms. That is a negative 9x plus 36. What number can divide evenly into 9 and 36? 3 works, but 9 is the largest or the greatest common factor. Now, is this going to be a negative 9 or a positive 9? Well, the clue is look at your leading sign. And since it leads with the negative, we are going to factor out a negative 9. So since we are factoring out a negative 9, it means we are dividing each of these terms by negative 9. Negative 9 divided by negative 9 is now a positive 1. And x has nothing to reduce with, so the x remains. Now we have a positive 36 divided by a negative 9, which is a negative 4. Now, looking at our two terms, we have term 1, that's a T, term 1, and we have term 2. Pen's getting crazy. Okay, term 2. Looking at our two terms, do we have anything in common? Is there a common factor or something that appears in both of them? And hopefully you notice there's an x minus 4 and an x minus 4. So that means we do have a GCF, or a common factor. And since it appears in both terms, we have the ability to factor it out of both terms. So if I factor or undistribute it out of the problem, that is going to leave me with 2x squared from my first term and a negative 9 from my second term. And that is how we would do factoring by grouping for this example.